Hello and welcome to the United Stand. We are back with Sunday Night Live and we're back with the original team of Sophie and Flex. Lots to talk about. We're going to talk about this Douglas Costa thing, which is ripping through social media. The sanctimonious people who think their farts don't smell, saying he should be banned from football. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I want to talk about Manchester United first. Jose Mourinho seems to have won the war. But I'm going to start off with a little bit of comedy. I think this, to me, has to be the headline of the season from Football 365. Mourinho interested in signing Arsenal coward. Now, who do you think that is? Mourinho interested in signing Arsenal coward. Who do you think it is for a start?
Ozil.
Yeah,
I think Ozil.
Yeah. I mean, it's not about United for once, but how can you get away with a headline like that? I mean, Mourinho interested in signing Arsenal coward. It did make me chuckle. But talking about Mourinho, talking about Manchester United, it feels like, and maybe people in the live comments, I know a lot of them are still Mourinho out, but it feels like Jose Mourinho is winning the war. And that's where I want to start off with here, because a couple of weeks ago, he was looking in trouble. 2 losses from 3. Woodward, maybe not backing him. Pogba in a position of power. Martial looking to sign a new contract. 2 wins later, Mourinho has got a lot of people turned against Pogba and Martial. Woodward's got the banner flying around. Mourinho's pumping his fist to the crowd, and he looks in a very, very, very strong position. But first of all, we'll start with you, Flex, because you were at the game yourself. The way United won yesterday, the way they've won against Burnley, very, very good. We need to win. We spoke about that this morning. But in relation to the style of play, is it this great football that everyone's on about in your mind? And is this the way that we can build and be title contenders in year 3?
Can't get carried away, man. Like, we just needed to get out of a rut after the back of 2 defeats. And whenever you get 2 defeats in the Premier League, doesn't matter how your next batch of wins comes. You just need to get the points on the board to get some momentum. That's the first thing I'll say. In terms of the football, I've seen a slight improvement, very slight. We're creating a few more chances. I'll definitely say that. We're not too great at maybe finishing those chances. There's still things to improve on there. There's still players that are not being consistent enough. There's still players that are making silly mistakes because it's not their forte. But I've seen a slight improvement. You can't get carried away. I'm not trying to say that we're back and this is what we want to see. Mourinho's definitely changed his tune in the last I'll say the last 3 weeks to a month. He's definitely changed his tune. I don't know what anyone else thinks, but I've never seen him going to give water bottles to the fans and giving away his like extra large jacket to a 10-year-old. I've never seen him do that before. So that's
just to jump in on you there, it's not even at United. I don't think I've ever really seen him. Well, he gave his medal away at Chelsea once. I remember him doing that.
Yeah, and I remember he gave his medal away in the Europa League final with us as well, I think, didn't he? But he
just hates medals.
But just just the way he's being at the moment, he doesn't normally do it. So for such a big, strong character like Mourinho, he's very calculated and a very smart guy. He won't be doing that by accident. I thought he thought to himself, do you know what? I need to start looking at myself. What can I do to make this situation better? I'll tell you what, I can definitely get the fans on board. There's a lot of match goers who are always on board. I will say that, so I'll definitely speak for those people who are kind of like, well, I was always Mourinho in sort of thing. And there is a lot of them. I'm seeing a lot of them, especially the away fans. And I think the chanting that the fans have kind of changed that as well, his mentality in terms of at the away fans specifically, the whole game they're just chanting Mourinho's Red Army, chanting his name, and he's giving the waves, the fist pump. So it's a decent little period for him, but it can't pull the wool over our eyes to think that we're back and we're playing amazing football, because we're certainly not.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, as we said before, the away support, I mean, I don't know how much weight Manchester United board put on that, because they chanted Van Gaal's name right to the end and he still got the sack. So, but, Mourinho has certainly changed things around, Sophie. And, in relation to that formation that we've seen the last couple of... Well, first of all, you've not been on for a while. So where did you stand with Mourinho a couple of weeks ago? Had you had enough, and where do you stand now?
I never fully said Jose out. I know people are laughing and say, oh, you're just saying that because he's all of a sudden changed. But I didn't say that. I said I was losing patience with him. And the style of play was...
Don't lie, Sophie, you said it.
No, you're the one who sits on the bench, not me, Flex. I didn't say I was Jose out. However, I did say my patience was wearing thin because of the style of play. And, we just didn't seem to be improving. But like Flex has just said, I think even the Spurs game, that first half, we showed glimpses where we were attacking at pace and we had more tempo to our play. And that's what United fans want to see. That's what we all want to see, United attacking more. And again, yesterday, positives. Pogba, I thought, was fantastic yesterday, I must admit. And that's what we want to see. We want to see our top players performing. But in order to do that, they've got to be given a bit of freedom, which I do think Pogba got yesterday.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I personally felt, and I don't know what you felt about this, Sophie, that the performance yesterday, I mean, we were literally a De Gea save away from dropping 2 points, but we should have had that game done right on half-time, 3-0 with Pogba. The formation going forward is what I want to talk about for a minute or two, and I'll ask you about this, Sophie, and then Flex as well. So basically, over the last 2 games, I think you'd have to be blind to see that Fellaini's basically playing as a centre-back. Obviously, he goes forward for free kicks and stuff, but he's basically playing as a third centre-back, which I interpret that Mourinho just doesn't trust his centre-backs. I mean, why Eric Bailly isn't playing, I don't know, but at the moment it's working. But Fellaini is definitely a third centre-back a lot of the time, and Matic is dropping in as the CDM. So we are very, very hard to break down through the middle because we've got basically 4 players, and then we're pressing everybody else. He's done it. I didn't think he'd do it against Watford because I think against Burnley they played the long ball. It was a good idea, but he did it yesterday. It worked again. Wolves, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, but Wolves play a very, very different style of football. I mean, do you like that style of football from United? Are you happy with that? Because some people are like, as long as we're winning, it's fine. But do you think there's a longevity in that style of football? I know it's working at the moment, but against the better teams?
I think against some teams it works, like proving yesterday. At the end of the day, you've got to praise Jose for his tactics and say, you know what, he got it right. For every game, would it work? No. Wolves are a different dynamic, obviously. They've got very creative midfielders, play the ball well. They're not necessarily a long ball team, so is Fellaini in the middle going to work? And I think at the same time, Wolves' shape, obviously United need to attack at pace. With Fellaini in there again, have we got that in us to attack at pace? Probably more of a Fred kind of game. So I think it depends on the game really, but if you've got someone who's going to sit in against you and we need to play the long ball, then yeah, Fellaini's effective and he's been a shield, like you say, at the back. But I've always said with Fellaini, he needs to be further forward. That's where he's effective. Not a ball-playing centre midfielder because that's not his job. For me, I would hate to mock Fellaini. He proved it against Watford yesterday. He's a useful weapon to have. He's a useful tool, but to have him as a ball-playing centre midfielder, I think is wrong. However, in the right game, as proving yesterday, he can be a decent shield if we're playing against a long ball team, which is rare in the Premier League.
He's definitely a tool. Anyway, Torrell Nelson says, I'm new to United stand. Hello, everyone. Can't wait till the next game at home. Wolves, big game for us. They're 9th, we are 8th. We still need to kick on this season. Well, welcome to the channel if you are new. I'm sure you'll be made to welcome on the live comments. It is interesting about Fellaini. I mean, look, I don't want to go down this road tonight because we did win the game, and I personally think we're going to take 12 points in this mini international break, which will be very important to our season. And yesterday was about the 3 points. I was very happy about that. But Mourinho, yet again, after a game, you know he's going to do it. The first name that's on his lips is Fellaini. He can't help himself. I don't like Mourinho for this because he never does it for anybody else. But every time Fellaini has a good game, he can't stop himself getting out for that press conference and saying how well he played. But in fairness to Mourinho, one thing he did say, which is sort of what Sophie's saying there as well, there's nothing to Fellaini's game really. There's nothing great about it. He's very good. He's good in the air. But what Mourinho said is I just stick him there and he does a simple job well. He breaks the play up in the air, and when he gets the ball, he plays a 5-yard pass and he puts his foot in. I mean, he was actually at fault for the goal, Flex. You probably didn't see that at the game, but he lost Andre Gray and Andre Gray scored. But I don't think anybody really wanted to take a pop at him because he's playing in a position that actually he's almost a centre-back, so it's not really his fault, but he is doing a very, very simple job for Mourinho. And at the moment, it's effective. But the second part of the question really is, what about the fact that Bailly, Fred, Pereira, Pogba, Pogba's playing obviously, Martial, they're nowhere near the 11 already. And I don't know whether that's about to change anytime soon.
No, it's probably not going to change dramatically soon. I mean, just on the Fellaini thing quickly, look, I've always said Fellaini's a good plan B, he's a good plan C. And I echo what Sophie says. If you're going to play him as a ball-playing centre midfielder, no. If you're going to play him as a body just in front of the back four to be messy and win tackles and break up play, arse and elbows and awkwardness, yes. If you're going to play him just off the front and hoof balls up to him so he can bring it down or flick it on, yes. But in the middle of those two, this doesn't work. There were certain times yesterday where Fellaini tried to play and he just can't. He's not quick on the ball. He hasn't got good feet, but they're not his strengths. So I wouldn't expect him to do that. Mourinho's putting him in there to do the ugly side of it, and he did it well. But I think it works for certain games. Like you said, we expected that against Burnley. To be honest, I did think he was going to play Fellaini against Watford, just because of the likes of Decore and Capoue. They're big physical guys, and you could see it worked. You had obviously Will Hughes just off the front as well, trying to cause trouble, and it was just very congested. And Fellaini done his job well against Wolves. That's where I think we don't need him. We need players with legs in that game. We need players who are going to be good on the ball, forward thinking with the passing. So someone like a Fred could come in. But with the injuries and suspension, because Matic probably would have played that game. So now I do think we will almost certainly see Fellaini in that game because of that reason. But I don't see it changing. You look at the likes of Martial, looks like you said, very far away from starting games. Fred, Pereira not even in the side, so it might come January again. But I could just go back on loan. Really, he might just think sod this. And I started the first couple of games. I had one bad game against Brighton. Ain't seen him since. That's right, we ain't seen him since then, have we? So at the end of the day, those players' confidence is not going to do them a world of good. There are loads of people getting on Martial's back yesterday, saying he was horrible, he was dreadful, and all that. The first thing he done was, first thing he done was like a throw, and then he lost possession of the ball. But there was a pattern of play on a counter attack where he held the ball up really well, something Lukaku couldn't do pretty much all game. Held the ball up well and got us spinning. He made the run, and obviously maybe on a different day, in a sharper Martial, he might finish that chance or shake the defender off. He's going to be short of match time. I don't know what they expect for a player who hasn't even been in the 11 for a good while. When Sanchez again, poor.
This is something I want to bring in here because I spoke about this morning, and what is that all about? I mean, we had rants on the other night, but what is this all about? This is almost what I mean about Mourinho winning the war. 2 weeks ago, Martial was signing a new contract. Everyone was on Pogba's side. We get two results. Pogba's public enemy number one. Martial can get out of our club. The abuse that Martial has had for a 20-minute cameo when we've had 8 months of Sanchez doing next to nothing and is the best played player in the Premier League. I mean, what is this all about? You're at the games.
It's nonsense. That's what I mean. It's nonsense. Like, don't get me wrong, the fans still sing his name. Like, even when he's warming up and stuff, they still like him. But as soon as when he came on yesterday, the guy's short of confidence. Like, Jose's shown him no love. And I'm not excusing it completely. This is not an excuse. This is the reason. It's as simple as that. It's not an excuse. It's a reason. He's not confident. He needs a run of games to get confident. And he just looks like he wasn't at the races because he hasn't been playing much. He's probably looking at Alexis, who's putting in shit performances week in, week out. What's he scored? 3 goals since he's come? Something like that? 3 goals. It's pathetic. And no one has the same agenda against him. Pogba was at one moment was the best player on the park in the first half. I saw Rio talking about it in the BT thing. I only caught up on that today, saying that he was brilliant. Yes, there was a little 5-minute period where he gave the ball away a couple of times and relaxed on the ball too much and gave it away. But it's not the same energy when Sanchez does it. I don't understand. And people who want Pogba at the club, when he was spraying passes along and all that, yes, it's one game and he needs to do that consistently. But that's what you want to give away. That's what you're saying you want out of our club. It's nonsense, man.
I'll ask you about that. So if I heard people today on about that, Dybala for Pogba rumour, and people were saying, yeah, they do it. But look, Fellaini did a very defensive job yesterday. Matic is very defensive. I mean, Matic is the sort of player that why take one touch when you can take 6? So the creativity comes from Pogba. If we sell Pogba, where does the creativity come from? Because as we've seen with people like Fred and Pereira, Mourinho clearly doesn't want to use them anyway. So Pogba's massively important. But what is your sort of interpretation of this at the moment? I mean, this for me is, there aren't many downsides to Mourinho actually finally getting the fans on side, but the downside is that I think people like Martial and Pogba end up getting all this stick, which I just don't think is right.
I think no matter what, Pogba was going to get stick because of what we paid for him, to be honest. I think he's going to get judged on that no matter what. I agree with Flex. Yes, Pogba, he was fantastic yesterday, but he does need to be more consistent. I think even Pogba would say that himself. But at the same time, if the midfield is being chopped and changed and the 11 is being constantly chopped and changed, that doesn't help Pogba in the middle. I think he needs to be given that free role. He doesn't need to be given the defensive responsibility because that's not how he plays. But at times yesterday, like that ball he pinged out to Sanchez, where he hit it like the outside of his foot and it was bouncing. Like, what other player can play that ball?
Class.
No other player can play that ball, and he just shows in glimpses what he's capable of doing. But he needs better players around him, to be honest, especially in that middle. He needs to be given that protection so he can just go and do that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with regards to Alexis Sanchez, there's a lot of Sanchez fanboys out there, so be very, very careful here. But Alexis Sanchez, I mean, he's had a summer off, and for me, he's still putting in similar performances to what he did last season, which weren't good enough for United. What do you think the problem is with Sanchez at United? And more importantly, why do you think Mourinho persists on picking him week in week? I mean, this is another thing about Mourinho that irritates people. This favouritism. Because we know full well if Martial has a bad 5 seconds, he's off the pitch. But Sanchez has a bad 5 months and he still gets picked every single game. That inconsistent. I mean, Mourinho's the boss. He picks what he wants to do. But I mean, what's your opinion on Sanchez and how we get the best out of him, really? Because it's just nothing seems to work with him at the moment.
I've always said, but to get the best out of Sanchez, he needs to be playing more centrally, in my opinion. I think when he's playing out on that left, he'll always cut in, and he keeps trying that little dink over the top, that little wonder ball that's just never coming off. But it's almost like Jose is telling him to do that because, like I say, he's consistently trying that, consistently coming in off the left. And for me, I think if he's going to be more effective, he needs to be playing more centrally. He's not even a shadow of the player that we saw at Arsenal. And that's the worrying thing. Like you say, he's had the summer off and he's come back with very similar performances. He works hard and that's literally all he gives to the team. Jesse Lingard works hard and he gets a lot of stick, but he's been performing much better than Sanchez has. But that's all kept very quiet, isn't it? And I just think that, like I say, he's a shadow of the player that we saw at Arsenal. He's obviously a class player, but he's not been doing that in a United shirt. All he does is work hard. That's all I can say about it.
That's it. The thing is where Sophie's saying, like, is Mourinho telling him to keep cutting in and doing that ding? I don't even think it's Mourinho telling him to do that. It's because he can't do anything else from that
just
position.
Keep doing it and it never works.
That's it.
Ever.
From the left-hand side, yeah, me and Rance were saying it, he was sitting next to me. The guy doesn't take anybody on. He's never going to take anyone down the outside. If I was a fullback, I'd just show him on his left.
Yeah,
I don't even understand why they don't do it. He cuts in all the time and tries the same pass all the time. Now, against Burnley, the cross worked 1 out of 1,000 times he's tried it.
Yeah.
That's not a good return on 500k a week, and not even just nothing to do with the Martial agenda. He's keeping Rashford out the side. He's stopping obviously Martial from playing there. He's stopping Jesse from maybe going out there. He's stopping Mata from maybe coming on from the left. He's stopping anyone else even being given the opportunity to even play there. So I don't understand what it is. Even some people in the comments saying even yesterday, Sanchez wasn't poor. I don't know.
Sanchez,
apart from the fun that he had where he had that shot.
Yeah.
That's it. What did he do? Someone put in the comments and tell me what he did do. Because, like I said, it makes him look way better than he is. It's like two contrasting styles. Martial doesn't run around and looks like he's not bothered, so people will jump on his back. But really, Sanchez masked the fact that he's not doing anything by just running around.
I think the important thing about Sanchez, and he did have a good run yesterday, which I thought that's what he's got to. I've said it so many times now. He's wearing our most iconic shirt. He's the best paid player in the league. He should be consistently doing what Salah does for Liverpool, what De Bruyne does for City. He's consistently doing what Luke Chadwick used to do for United. An odd little run here at 5 minutes every fucking 10. So I've just swore 10 games. It is not good enough. I appreciate people like Alexis Sanchez. I like Alexis Sanchez, but let's get real.
I like him.
Let's get real. It's not good enough.
He's not doing the business. He's not doing the business. And like Sophie said, if he's not playing centrally, maybe in a 2, then he's not effective. It's as simple as that, man. Like, I don't care what he's done at Arsenal. I don't care what he was. I don't care that he's world class. He hasn't shown that at Man United, and he's crap on the left-hand side. It's as simple as that. He's dog on the left-hand side. It's simple. I don't understand why this is even a conversation. And whatever he's paid, whether it's 500, 400, whatever it is, he's on top dollar, yeah, and he's not performing. If Martial done that, he'd get absolutely ridiculed. If Pogba done that, he'd get ridiculed. If Jesse was doing that week in, week out, be out the side. If Rashford was doing that, I don't get it. I don't get it. But a lot of fans do see it. A lot of fans have said, I'm not saying that every single United fan doesn't know what they're seeing in front of them, because they do. A lot of fans say to me, yeah, he's not good enough, or the pundits say it. It is out there, but it's like the only person who can't see it is Jose. I don't understand. I don't get that. There's got to be a clause in his contract that says he needs to play all these games or something. Or we just don't want to upset the apple cart, because you know what Alexis is like, even if he gets taken off. he rips off his bands and sulks, because that's how he is. He just likes to play every minute of every game. I get that he's tenacious and he's hungry. That's just who he is. But I don't know what it is, man, because Jose's not seeing it, and the guy's just playing week in, week out for the majority of the games. It's just nonsense.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, I think we're all on the Jose bandwagon at the moment, and I don't say that sarcastically. We are. We've won 2 games. I think we've got a very good chance of beating Wolves, West Ham and Newcastle, which would give us, 12 points, 15 points in a row, which is what we needed after a bad start. And I think, we are on that bandwagon because Mourinho has won is in a strong position at the moment. But how long can a bandwagon run when you have got a player like Alexis Sanchez? You can't play with 10 men every week. And, it wasn't terrible yesterday, but I think those people saying he played well, as Durrani says, one good run for 400 grand a week. It's,
exactly.
These are the facts. These are the facts. We are scraping the barrel of Sanchez because he had an okay game and turning it into a great performance, when actually he should be doing things. He should be doing bits every fucking. I've done it again every 10 minutes. He should, but he should, and that's what should happen.
The thing is, Mark. Yeah, the thing is. But Pogba had a bad game when he had the most shots on target and was creating things and making things happen and getting on the ball and spraying passes left and right. But he had a bad game.
I thought Pogba had a very good game. I agree in the second half he didn't. But you know what? As I said, I mean, Ben Foster must have had 10 Duracells in his back in the first half. He was here, there and everywhere. Second half, he took the batteries out and he didn't need to do anything. It was easy. But that's because as a team, and even Mourinho said himself, I don't know why we didn't kill them off. We made it hard for ourselves in the second half. But look, we won. We roll on again. We've got Champions League on Wednesday. We've got Wolves. One thing I want to bring in here is something very, very topical, which I know a lot of people have been talking about. And it sort of befits that. Why doesn't Jose Mourinho use... why doesn't he use Sanchez on the right? Even that run that he had, that one good run yesterday, came from the right-hand side of the pitch. Douglas Costa was always a player that was mentioned a lot by Manchester United fans as wanting him at the club. Obviously, I think he's thrown an elbow, a little bit of a kick, and done an unorthodox kiss with the player of the Italian team that he's gobbed into their mouth today. Lots of typical reaction on social media. As I said, people whose farts clearly don't smell because you do make one mistake and you're castigated. I mean, you are still playing football, Sophie. I mean, somebody spitting in your mouth must be very, very horrible. What's your thoughts on it? And would you take a player like that at Manchester United?
You can't say you wouldn't take Douglas Costa because he's spat in someone's face. I think that's ridiculous. But however, do I agree with the fact that he spat in someone's face? I think that's absolutely disgusting. The fact that he was talking to him as well, wasn't he, for like a few seconds beforehand? It wasn't even like an instinctive thing. He'd obviously thought about doing that, which I think is disgusting. But I don't think you can say you wouldn't take him ever at United. Everyone makes mistakes, as you said. It depends how he reacts to it now, isn't it? He's obviously got to apologise and do all the right things. But ability-wise, Douglas Costa, for me, I think he's a fantastic talent. And yeah, I'll take him at United, definitely.
That's an answer. Flex, I'm not going to say what I think until you've both had your say, obviously. But Flex, what's your thoughts on it? I mean, if you look on social media, apparently there's a lot of racism out there. You know, that's social media, especially Twitter. You can say what you like, isn't it? But I don't condone that, obviously. But there's a lot of people. Even Robbie Fowler called it disgusting, which I thought was quite funny because there is a Liverpool player that did it similarly a few months ago. But what are your thoughts?
It's a big mistake, man. It's disgusting. It's awful. It's just, but realistically, what should he be killed? Should he be sent to prison?
Yeah.
No, like
Jimmy Carragher's back on Sky now, so
exactly. Like, I'm not condoning it. It's disgusting, and he needs to do a big ban, serve his time, and then come back and play football. Like, it's awful what he's done. Don't get me wrong, it's disgusting. But saying he should die or he's racist or whatever it is, like. At the end of the day, people make mistakes, innit? It's as simple as that. It really is. Like, it's how he comes back. Don't get me wrong. If he comes back and then does the same thing again, then that's a different ball game. Then he's just a different kettle of fish. But people make mistakes, man. Like, I'm not condoning what he's done whatsoever because it's disgusting. I'd rather someone punch me in the face than spit at me. It's disgusting. And he'll know that. He'll go home to his family. He'd be shamed. He'd be all over the internet. And the next however long is going to be a tough, however many months, it's going to be tough for him. Like we saw with Jamie Carragher, he had to come out and literally grovel. Like a little part of me, although he's Jamie Carragher, I did feel a bit bit bad for him the way they made him grovel and do all them interview things and come out and say, and he literally Sky actually made him grovel and questioned him and made him look a right tool. But that's it. Yeah, you do the crime, you got to do the crime, innit? So, you know, it's like anything, especially within a footballing context. Like, you know, he does the ban and he comes back and plays football. Like, shouldn't be any more or less than that. He'll know he's let himself down, and it's a disgusting act. As long as it's not repeated, I think he just does his time and then moves on.
Definitely. I do. I'm glad that there's, and a lot of people in the live comments are saying the same thing. Look, when Carragher did it, he's an ex-Liverpool player. Of course, United fans are going to go in on him. There was all the jokes. There was Spit the Dog with Bob Carroll G's, if anyone can remember that. There was great fun had with it, but the serious thing was he shouldn't have done it. He knew he shouldn't have done it. The red mist came down. Stupid people do stupid things when the red mist does it. And when I say stupid, I've done stupid things when the red mist has come down. I haven't spat anyone, though. That's 1 point for me. But in relation to Douglas Costa, Cantona jumped in the crowd and kicked somebody. You know, it's
exactly
these things happen.
Did everyone say that they didn't want Cantona back after he kung fu kicked?
Well, no United fans did, but the you know, again, the no fart smell people were I remember it clearly. It was a long time ago, but a lot of people, you know, who've got no interest in football were jumping on it, saying give him a lifetime ban and everything like that. And the reality is, people make mistakes. The positive from this, I really hope that Juventus go hard on Costa. And in January, I'll have him 10 million. You know, get him on the cheap. You know,
I'll have him. Even Evra done the same thing when he was at was it Marseille, and he got like his contract terminated. Like, it happens. Like, you know what I mean? What? No one likes Patrice Evra now. We all still call him Paddy, and he's amazing, and he's. No, I mean, don't get me wrong. That guy was racist to him, but you know, Costa was provoked. It's not condoning it, but he was provoked, and he's reacted in the wrong way, the same way Evra reacted in the wrong way. I know it was racism and it's different. I don't know exactly what the other defender did to him. Did he just kick out him, or was he racist to him or something?
I don't know.
Okay,
no, I don't know.
That's how you got to look at him, man.
But you know what? I mean, my irritation with it that I find nauseating is just that this is the society today where somebody does something wrong and everybody wants to crucify them. And the reality is, you know, I've been on this planet over 3 decades. I've never met anybody who hasn't made a mistake. So you know what? As long as he comes out like Flex says, apologises from it, learns from it. It's when you do it again. You know, Juff did it, didn't he? A couple of times. I think, in fairness to Juff, it's disgusting spitting and everyone hates it, but obviously it's a bit like Suarez and the bite, isn't it? If it's just in there, it's an issue. They need to deal with it. But I would take him at United. I mean, at the end of the day, we've got bloody Juan Mata and Lingard playing on the right hand side doing nothing. Of course, I'd take Douglas Costa at United, and if we can get him for 20 million, great. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a mistake, and I think we should move on from that. So we will. Joseph Young says if we give Pogba a lot of crap when he's been bad, as fans should, but Sanchez seems to get a pass in most cases. Left wing should be open for grabs. Those in form should play the games. Definitely agree. Please do drop a like on the video. A lot of people giving lots of good comments on the Sunday night show. It's nice to get the team back together, and hopefully that will be every week from now on. So please do drop a like if you're enjoying it. I do want to talk about Antonio Valencia because, again, I think it's just fashionable to talk about Pogba, Martial, and even Sanchez to a certain extent. But there are certain areas of the team that just get totally and utterly ignored. And a lot of the fan cams last night, a lot of people on the watch along, Valencia was, and the goal yet again came from the right hand side. Like, we've been very weak down that right hand side. I believe Valencia's 33 now. He is picking up a lot of injuries, but also his performance yesterday was very, very worrying. Over the summer, we looked at, we need a midfielder, we need a centre back, we need a left back, we need this, we need that, but nobody ever looked at the right back. We know that Dalot was bought. How seriously do you think that right back position is an issue at the moment, Sophie, for United, or does Valencia worry you, or is it just a little blip?
Well, Jose mentioned Valencia not coming back in shape, didn't he? So straight away, obviously, Jose must have been worried.
Yeah, good point.
But for me, next season, I think we need to look at a right back. Dalot, obviously, we don't know too much about him at the minute, whether he's ready. Jose isn't playing him, so he obviously can't be ready yet, but he can play right back or left back, which is promising for the future. But yeah, Valencia worries me. Valencia, I find one of the most infuriating players to watch. Like, he just does my head in because he's got so much pace, but he'll run and he'll stop. Like, he never tries to beat a player, and I find it so infuriating to watch. I don't know about you guys, but for me, it just winds me up so much because he's got that pace, but he chooses not to use it. But I think this season will be all right. The only thing you have to question is if, like, touch wood, it doesn't happen, but if Valencia gets injured, have we got anybody who can fill that spot right away?
It's funny you say that. I mean, I'm going to get Flex's opinion now, but it just popped in my head. I was doing the watch line yesterday, and Valencia got it in a really good position down the right-hand side. And he did something that my gran used to do at weddings. It was like the ball was the handbag, and then she has a dance around it. It was like shouting, whip the crossing, and he was doing this thing. The ball never moved, but he was sort of like side to side doing this thing, and he's just like, he used to be a winger. He used to be a winger. But Paul Robinson says Valencia's lost it, nothing going forward. And I suppose that's the concern, Flex. He was very poor yesterday. And he is the. I mean, again, talk about free passes. It's the old captain thing again. Valencia is the captain as well, and that performance yesterday was. He is just wearing that because it's his birthday, innit? There's no reason for him to have that on. There's no leadership. I mean, I forgot about that, but as a performance, it wasn't good yesterday, and it is a bit of a worry because I think he's 33 now.
He is. Just firstly, you do know that what you just said in that little 1 minute period is probably going to do rounds around the internet after this show.
I think they're leaving me alone now. I think they're leaving me alone. Hopefully.
Okay, but on Valencia, man, like he's lost all football, his whole football brain, like in terms of being able to attack, isolate the other winger, make them work. Can't do it. Anytime he gets the ball, he's stalling. And I remember that moment that you're talking about where he literally just stuttering around the ball. He has no clue. He has no attacking thought. If Darmian was doing what he was doing, he'd get rinsed. Everyone would be on his back. Valencia just gets away with it because I know he's had outstanding years of service to the club. But I'm actually excited to see the lot. I was saying it to Ranch yesterday because we were picking up on Valencia, just offering nothing on that side, just getting into a decent position. Even when we feed it out to him early sometimes where we do actually play with a bit of pace for a change and we push that ball. So say we're in a tight situation on our left-hand side, we get out of it, Pogba pings it out there or Matic or whoever it is, and it gets to Valencia and he's got acres. He bombs forward for about 20 yards, sees a player come towards him and just stops and then comes back or goes sideways all the time, doesn't whip in any crosses anymore. He's never even been the greatest crosser, but even when he was a decent crosser, he used to do that one where he flashes it across the box. He was never like good at whipping it in. He would like kind of flash it across the box or bang it across the box. That was his type of crossing. Don't do it anymore. You don't beat anyone. The only reason he's getting a blind is because he's an athlete. You know what I mean? He's quite strong. He's still quick. And for how poor he is going forward, he is still capable of stopping people. Like, you know what I mean? Not as consistently as we would like to, but he is still capable and he kind of missed the reliable. But it's not good enough. It's not good enough. We need a right back. That's why I'm excited to see the lot because he's young. Yes, he's untried and untested, but I think because he's young, and you know what young fullbacks are like. If he's anything like the young fullbacks of the modern game, he will want to get forward. He will want to get past people. Yes, that might create us a few problems with naivety, like leaving spaces in behind, and he'll have to learn that. But I'd rather see someone trying to force the issue on the other side. Because if we imagine where we have Luke Shaw doing it one side and someone like the lot doing it on the other, that will make teams think, you know what? We've got to be careful of their fullbacks. They know when Luke Shaw plays, he's going to do it. And if we had that on the right-hand side, we'll become a whole different proposition. Yes, the team would have to adapt because right now no one has to fill that space because Valencia don't get forward that much, so it's not really a problem. So obviously the midfield would have to work on coming across to deal with the space that will be vacated by him. But I want to see it, man, because Valencia offers nothing.
Thing is, though, Valencia, when he does get that space, like you're saying, he just hits the first man every time. How many times has Lukaku scored from crosses, but Valencia from that side, he just cannot do it. He'll either smash across that didn't need to be smashed, or he'll hit the first man every time.
Yeah,
and he just doesn't provide any service, anything for Lukaku doing that right side, ever.
Jose said that Luke Shaw will play against the Swiss team on Wednesday night in the Champions League, and then we've obviously got Wolves on the Saturday. Do you think there's any chance that Ashley Young might be back in the team for the Wolves game, Sophie? Or do you think Shaw, in many people's minds, I'm sure that people would say that Luke Shaw should be keeping that position, but we have always had that worry about Ashley Young. Do you think he did enough yesterday that Mourinho will go back to his... I mean, he's already slipped Fellaini back, even though he spent 50 million on Fred. On Valencia, I think he'll be running up and down that right-hand side in a Zimmer frame in 20 years if Mourinho's here. I don't see any change there. So do you think that's Young back into the team now? Obviously not for the Champions League game, but with a Wolves game a few days after.
I hope that, because obviously in the Spurs game, Jose was proper bigging up Luke Shaw, patting him on the back, cheering him on, and obviously Luke Shaw at the minute was buzzing with confidence, and he had this injury at England, and I'm hoping that Jose puts him right back in because Luke Shaw was He was in form. He was obviously buzzing, and you know what? I hope he just keeps that up. I think the longer Luke Shaw stays out, then the worse it will be for him. I think he needs to get straight back on the pitch, and I'm hoping Jose sees it that way as well, because he was playing really well at the start of the season, and I think if he doesn't put him back in, that might knock his confidence a bit. So I'd like to see Shaw put back in.
Yeah, Flex. Do you think Shaw walks back into the team? I mean, Young did well yesterday, but he's still a right-footed player, and it's not. We need balance, I think.
Yeah, there was a couple of times Young done well to get past his man and get into crossing positions. His left foot just let him down, either overhitting it or hitting the side netting or getting blocked. And that obviously reluctance to whip it in first time on his left foot. So I do think I definitely want Luke Shaw to come straight back into the side. So I hope after Young boys, I hope it's just obviously a good performance, but specifically for him, because I think he deserves to keep his place, man. It's tough because, you do want to pick things on form, and Sophie will tell you playing football now, when you get injured as well, the team has to move on and someone has to fill your boots. And if someone comes in and replaces you when you're injured and plays out their skin and plays well, it's kind of like, depends what sort of manager you are. Like when I used to play football, managers should say, you play well, you keep your shirt. I've got no favourites.
John Ice.
I don't.
Go on, sorry.
Pardon?
Go on, it's all right. Go on.
Oh, I don't know what you just said there. I just think that he needs to show that he can still continue to play well, and that will help him. Like Sophie said, he needs that consistent run of games where he's had that, and it would do his confidence no good to be sitting out another 2, 3, 4 weeks while Ashley Young picks up a bit of momentum, has a couple of steady performances, because he never plays out of this world, but sometimes he has some good steady performances, like yesterday.
Yeah.
But I think Luke Shaw's definitely more natural on that side, and I think, like I said, if the Deloitte comes into it, we've got 2 natural fullbacks, and we become a different proposition.
We're going to take some comments from the live comments now. Remember, tomorrow night at 8 o'clock it's the Skype show, so it's your chance to Skype in and have your say on anything that's getting on your nerves or making you happy. Do drop a like on the video. Let's see if we can get 500 likes before close of play, so please do drop a like if you are watching. It's just below the screen, and hit the share button, share it out. John Ice says Troops said Juventus will beat Manchester United. I'm glad he's even commenting on the Champions League, considering they're off to Azerbaijan or wherever else on Thursday nights. I just think,
off to Borat land, mate. They're going Borat land.
Borat land, yeah. He can bring us one of their Mancini backs. I mean, their opinion is it really is like a Ferrari driving down the road and then someone in a crappy old Skoda saying, "I don't like your car." Just sit down. You're irrelevant. You're irrelevant for this season. You can't talk about the Champions League because we're in it and you're not. So I think because we're close to Arsenal at the moment, they feel like they can banter us. But I tell you what, November is their time. They're going. They're not. I don't even want to talk about them. Wolves are more important than they are, and that's going to be a tough game. I can see we've had Wolves fan TV in the live comments. I'm sure he emailed me a couple of weeks ago saying he wants to do...
Yeah, I spoke to the Real Football Fan Show. I said we'll do some stuff.
Yeah, we'll do some bits with them. To be honest, I don't want to talk about Wolves too much because, Sophie's going to be there next week. She'll be doing a fan cam. Flex is going to be there. I watched Wolves today. I watched them a couple of times last season. I watched them today, and we'll be doing it throughout the week. I'll do a preview about it. The way they set up and the way they play. I'm excited about it because I don't think we can play the way we have played the last 2 games without absolutely getting obliterated possession-wise at Old Trafford, which wouldn't go down well with the fans. So I think we've got to play a different way, which will be good. But we'll talk about that later in the week because we've got Champions League as well. Got to win that game. But let's take some of your comments. We've got Sophie and Flex, so chuck us some questions in the live comments and we'll interact a little bit with that. Kiss Paul says, I liked this channel till the Barak comment. Thanks and bye. That wasn't me.
Just saw that.
Has our performance today worried you at all for next week? Well, I'll go on then. Let's answer that question. Sophie, you're not too far away from Wolverhampton yourself anyway, so not that means anything. I live quite close to Birmingham City, but I've never watched them play. But are you concerned about the Wolves at all next week?
I worry about everyone at the minute who we play together. I'm not going to lie, but my dad's a massive Wolves fan, and he's been talking to me now for weeks, and he's been saying, "You watch, you'll be gutted when you go to Old Trafford," and giving it the big one. So for that alone, I'd hope that we hammer them. But yeah, of course I'm worried. Wolves are playing some fantastic football, and like I say, I don't think the Fellaini tactic will work against them. We've got to do something a bit different, and we need to play with pace. And we did it in the first half against Spurs, but that's really the only time that I've seen that, I think. So I just think we've got to change the way we play, and yeah, of course I'm nervous, but I still think that we'll win. Yeah,
I think if we go with that Spurs approach, it should be okay, actually, because I I just think we spoke about it this morning, didn't we, Flex? We said, look, actually, when you look at it, I know people probably don't want to hear this, but we've got 4 winnable games that if we win them, people will get very positive, but they're not, with all due respect, they're not massive tests in the context of where Manchester United should be. I think Watford yesterday, I expected more from them, and you spoke to their fans and they were like, we showed you too much respect, and I think they did in the first half. They shocked me. But then Wolves at home, and Wolves are good, but it's Old Trafford, come on. West Ham away, well, that's a home game because West Ham are always crap at their place. Then Newcastle at home, who are shit. So realistically, we've got a massive opportunity in the league to get some points on the table. But even if we did take 12 points, I still think there'd be a part of me thinking there's much bigger tests to come because we should be winning these games. We can't afford to drop any points over these next few, really.
No, it's got to be a 9-pointer. It's got to be. But, just on that West Ham game, though, you saw them today. I know Everton were poor, but they've got their season up and running now. And if they win their next, which is before us, you never know. They get momentum. And then they could see that game as Man United at home as the perfect, do you know what I mean, game to continue their momentum. So we say that, and Donatovic was a handful today. You know what I mean? He could be a handful for us. You don't know, and this is what I mean about it's so crazy about how football works. Like you said earlier in the show, after them 2 games against Brighton and Spurs, we were doomed. It was Mourinho out, everything. And then we've got 2 wins on the bounce, and it just makes it feel that bit better. And we go to Young Boys, get a win there, and it's just a good sense. Then we hit another period of 2 losses in a row, and then or a loss and a draw. Then you're suddenly in panic station. Football's funny like that, man. It's a 38-game season in the league anyway, and you got to take the ups with the downs. But the Wolves game, they can play. They can play. But like you said, it's at Old Trafford, and make no mistake, if we turn up and play how we should play, we'll beat Wolves. We'll beat Wolves. But if we allow them to be comfortable, allow them to implement their game plan, and don't put any pressure on them, and don't press them, or don't make them be camped out in their half, then we're asking for trouble because they can play. But yeah, the next few games, they're 9-pointers definitely. We need to be getting maximum points because then we've got Chelsea away at the back end of that little 9-pointer, and it's always tough going there. We haven't picked up any points there for a good while, and they're on a good run as well. So yeah, it depends what happens in the next few weeks, but we definitely need to get 9 points out of the next 3 Premier League games.
Definitely. I just want to shout Positive Energy out just simply because his jokes are crap. He says, Hammers are going to get hammered. And I saw you on before when you went, I like Valencia, it's nice and sunny. I mean, these are dad jokes, mate. You need to change your name to dad jokes. Let's have a look at some more questions. Old Trafford ain't what it used to be. But Wolves Fan TV is giving it big. And I hope you're here next Sunday night when you've been beat, because I really do think you're gonna get beat. I really do. I mean, we'll beat you. I've got no concerns about that. Young wasn't that good, says T Ballard. Fred versus Wolves. Timbo at right back next season. He didn't play for Fulham yesterday against Sane, and they lost. Man United are going to win the league, says Rian. I'm going to ask you this, Sophie. Is there any chance of Manchester United winning the league this season?
Judging it currently, no, I don't think so. That's me being honest. Obviously, I'd love it to happen, but I think you've got to be realistic. And I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to agree. I don't think that we could do. I mean, but I just think there are parallels already with last season. I think these people who thought we weren't going to get top 4, I've always felt we're going to get top 4, because one thing about Mourinho is, and I think we'll see it over the next few games. Yeah, Wolves are decent. Yeah, Watford are decent. But I think Mourinho's the master at sort of, I suppose, grinding out those results. I mean, again, you've not been on for a few weeks. What are your realistic expectations for United this season? If we can't win the league, what do you think we've got to be going for?
I think we'll get top 4 still. Still believe we'll get top 4. Like you say, Jose's going to get grinding out results. I just think at the minute we look vulnerable at the back, and we're not consistent going forwards. Like when we do create chances, we're not fully finishing them. Like I still believe if Lukaku finished that chance against Spurs, then we would have gone on to win that game. And I just think that there's vital little moments like that where it's just not going our way at the minute. And I just think we're not consistent enough to get any higher. But I think top 4, I do still think we'll get. I think obviously I want to finish above Liverpool, but Liverpool are flying at the minute. But I'm going to say top 4 is all I predict at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I don't know what you think, Flex. I think obviously Liverpool and City are going to get top 4. Chelsea look good for it at the moment, and then I think us. I mean, I don't know what order, but I think that's going to be the top 4. I mean, Arsenal, no chance. Spurs have been in there, but I tell you what, Spurs against. I knew Liverpool would win yesterday. We should have.
Yeah,
if
they were terrible.
Lukaku could finish and Phil Jones could defend, we'd have beat Spurs as well. They look in trouble, don't they? They look very tired.
They do look in trouble, and I think the fact that they haven't invested just absolutely shows. And football was a funny game. They were celebrating beating us like they just won a trophy for the first time in God knows how long, and then they go and get back-to-back defeats. That's how football can change. And then Harry Kane looks absolutely knackered. Couple of injuries. They were just struggling. Vorm in goal, terrible. So yeah, we'll see what happens with them. But I think we'll get top four. I agree with Sophie. We'll get top four. It'd be nice to have a title challenge, but Liverpool look the best equipped to do that. So I think top four and a trophy will be a decent season, considering where we're at, and we didn't buy players, and the way we play football, and the stuff about Mourinho, and just considering all of that, we've got players not playing well, players not in the side, etc., etc. Considering all of that, I'd be happy with top four this season, and then take it from there, because I think this will be Jose's last year. Said it at the beginning of the season. I still stick by that, unless he wins the league or the Champions League, which I don't think either of those two are going to happen. But I think this will be his last year.
I'll tell you what, that's a good point. It's something I wanted to discuss, but I've totally forgotten about it. I mean, I'll ask Sophie this. This is Mourinho's third season, and I suppose, I mean, Flex spoke about there how Mourinho, in many ways, has manipulated the fan base in a positive way, because he suddenly decided, I'm going to, throw coats at them and applaud them, which he hadn't done for 2 years, and it's worked. But I think what he's also done is he's almost, played a mind game where everyone is suddenly, let's forget the last 2 years. Let's forget losing those 2 games. It's almost like we're starting again, even though it's year 3. There is that mentality amongst the fan base at the moment in backing Mourinho that they're like, let's just see what we can build from here. But it is year 3.
Yeah, no, as we know, Jose typically stays 3 years at a club. Flex has said there, he doesn't think he'll be there next season. But I just find it a bit odd. Like you said, the mood at the moment is like he's rebuilding, like he's kind of starting afresh. And if it is his last year, then I don't know. It's a weird point to start at, isn't it? It's almost like he's planning to stay longer. For me, I said at the start of the season that I personally didn't think he would be here next season. I was thinking he would walk, but this change in his personality of late is making me think otherwise. It's making me think that maybe he's planning on being here a bit longer.
Good. John Brooks says, hi guys, if again Sanchez does nothing this season, should he be sold, and is Depay a better signing than Sanchez? Worst number 7 we have had. Well, I think the jury's out on Sanchez. He'll have to come good at some point. But just popping back to what Sophie said there, I mean, the interesting thing about the longevity of Mourinho is if he does stay beyond 3 years, you look at his favourites. Matic is 30, Sanchez is nearly 30, Fellaini's 31, Valencia's 49, Young's 39. They're not, they're 33. But a lot of the people that he puts a lot of faith in are going to need replacing, or are going to be woefully, into decline in the next year or two anyway. So I always felt that he was looking at 3 years. But I also think I'd agree with Sophie that Mourinho wants to win. He wants to win a title, and I don't know. I think they'd have to force him out Old Trafford. I don't know necessarily whether he'd walk. And he seems to have ridden a storm for the moment. Flex, he seems to have ridden a storm that 2 weeks ago a lot of people didn't predict he would.
Yeah, the rival fans were saying he's going to get sacked at Christmas. See, I told you. Even Troop talking all smoke. See, I told you Mourinho's going to be going. They texted me saying that DT, and just other rival fans as well. Some of my Chelsea mates as well. See, I told you he'd be gone by Christmas. And I'm like, we've lost 2 games in the first 3. So don't worry, worry about what you're doing. Because I don't think he'll get sacked by Christmas at all. I don't think he'll get sacked this year. And like I said, the only way he stays, because I do think this is his last season, but the only way he does stay is if, obviously, like I said about the Champions League and the Premier League, which ain't going to happen, but the more viable option is that the football kind of changes and we were close to winning. We had a title challenge and it looked like we were going in the right direction. And we maybe got far in the Champions League or something like that. But other than that, I just can't see it. I could be wrong. That's just my opinion. I just don't think that he's going to be here next year.
It's interesting because Matthew McFadden was saying a few comments ago, if anybody doesn't know anything about the Swiss team we're playing on Wednesday, apparently they're top of the league. They've won 8 in a row. They're doing really well, so that's going to be a challenge in a Champions League group. I want the challengers. I do. I wish we were playing Liverpool next Saturday. I want to see how good we are. That's just my approach. But on another positive, we've got 9 points that I think we should get over the next few weeks. Liverpool have got to play Chelsea and City over the next few weeks. Obviously, Chelsea have got to play Liverpool. City got to play Liverpool. So if we can get to that next international break with those 3 wins, we could conceivably be 3 points off the top, which, and I think we've got a great opportunity to do that. So, yeah, Matthew McFadden's just made a contribution as well. He says, this is Jose's last year guaranteed. He either wins the league and leaves on a high, or things go wrong and he is sacked early. Well, we will see. Anyway, the hour is approaching us. Thanks everybody who's been watching. Please do drop a like on the video. Nice to get 500 likes, and if only you're liking it just for Sophie and Flex. It's nice to get them back on the show. Thanks for coming on, Sophie.
Thank you. Sorry I've been away for a while, but I'm back now and I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
Good. We'll definitely see you next Saturday, because you are going to be at the Wolves game, so you'll be doing a fan cam with Flex, no doubt. Hopefully celebrating a win. And Flex, you're off to Switzerland this week to sample the
Wednesday
chocolate.
Morning. Yeah. Get some Swiss chocolate and do a bit of skiing.
What's it called over there? Is it Milky or something? That one in the blue. All right.
Milka. It's lovely. I
Yeah.
get that over here all the time. It's my favourite chocolate. That is brilliant. Over to see Young Boys. Obviously, I've played against Young Boys, so hopefully we come back with the result. Also, guys, I've got to let you know, I'm giving away 2 tickets. We're giving away 2 tickets, and we posted on the United Stand Instagram account for our Carabao Cup game against Derby. Look at the United Stand Twitter account, which is United Stand TV. Over the next day, there's going to be a post on there. All you need to do is make sure you're following us and drop a comment on a picture of the tickets that I'm going to post, and they could be on their way to you and a friend. You and a loved one, whatever, can come and watch United smash Derby 5-0 with expansive football and loads of goals.
They get to sit with you, don't they, as well?
They're not next to me, no.
All right, that's an up. That's even better.
But,
even better.
We'll be there.
Even better. Bring back. I tell you what, I thought this was going to be the dad jokes guy. It's actually Paul Robinson, who's quite respected on here. He says, "Bring back an army knife." I mean, again, it's the night of the dad jokes, isn't it? It really is. But
I think they're quite funny, to be honest with you.
It's not on my level. It's not on my level. You'll probably be tweeting out, "Goldbridge is happy we're playing the young boys." That's the sort of level of joke that we're going to see over the next few days, I think. I mean, no wonder British comedy's in a mess. I've seen it on the live comments tonight. Anyway, in all seriousness, thanks everyone for watching the live comments. Sunday night show is always the flagship show of the United Stand, so great for everybody who's joined us live. If you haven't been able to watch us live, loads to discuss. Get your comments in below. Give us your thoughts on the bandwagon. Give us your thoughts on the Martial Pogba agenda. Give us your thoughts on whether you'd have Douglas Costa at the team, whether Valencia's on the decline, what we can realistically achieve this season, and would you keep playing this same way where Fellaini's basically playing as a centre-back, or do you think we need to be a little bit more expansive against Wolves and the better teams this season? But all in all, really, really quick show. Well, it wasn't quick, but it just flies by. Thanks everyone for watching. Tomorrow night at 8 o'clock is your show on the Skype show. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I forgot, if you are new, you're very, very welcome. And see you all tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Cheers for coming on.
It's all right. Good stuff,
Flew
man.
by,
Good
didn't
stuff.
it?
Yeah, it did. Went so quickly.